Hello and welcome to Feed Your Fire. I'm your host, Kim Baker. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the intersections of life. You know those moments where it feels like the mystery of life is unfolding before your eyes. It could be a happy coincidence, a well-orchestrated plan coming together, or divine intervention. It's in these points of connection where so much of life is made. And what better way to have this discussion than with fusion food? Recipes that have been born or enhanced from the coming together of different cuisines. So join us for a meal and a shared moment. Every day we follow the path of our lives, and we put so much emphasis on carving that path and building that path, when some of the most powerful moments we experience are not from what we create or where we land. They're at the intersections, the points in our lives that coincide with another's. This past week, I was in Tampa, and in the evening at a restaurant, I bumped into my cousin. Neither of us live in the area, and we hadn't seen each other in almost a decade. And right there, our paths intersected. It was an uncanny flitter of life, almost like a déjà vu experience, serving as a refresh or a reminder, bringing something into focus that had not been in the foreground. And then a day later, I flew to New York to visit my sister Corinne and Josh. Josh just had his 4th brain surgery that his doctors expedited after his last MRI. And as I sat with them in the hospital, that point of connection was very relevant. Me, along with several others, were the rallying squad. We came together not by happenstance, but by choice. And it was within this 48-hour period that I was confronted with these very different ideas about intersection. One seemingly random coincidence, juxtaposition with the coming together of something that felt like a bucket brigade. Mathematically, they would both be considered an intersection, a common point on a set of lines. But thematically, they couldn't be more different. And as I thought through this idea, I realized there are a few components that distinguish these intersections in our lives. The first being the tone or tenor of what's coming together. Is it through harmony or chaos? The second is whether it's random or intentional. Is it synchronized or synchronous? And the third is force of impact. Is it to be remembered in 7 days, 7 months, or 7 years? And these 3 variables shape whether these interactions are curious happenstance or a critical intervention. And one of the most meaningful things about these intersections is when they occur. Have you ever met someone that had you met them at a different time or place, the outcome would have been completely different? What are those coordinates in the grand scheme of your life's unfolding, where 2 or more things coincided? And I think about that for Josh, the information intersection that allowed his doctors to act swiftly, where having that insight at that very moment in time can impact the trajectory of life. What intersections of your life have been most meaningful? What are the intersections that you can intentionally create? As part of today's episode, we're going to explore those ideas in the kitchen. Fusion cuisine, by definition, brings together flavors from different parts of the world with a creative spirit. Today, we're making rice bowls, a food tradition from hundreds of years ago that's believed to have been started in Japan, worked its way across Asia, and now you can find them in the U.S. in most refrigerated sections of the grocery store. Each culture has put its stamp on the rice bowl, and there's not one way to make them. Today, we're going to start with coconut rice, topped with seared salmon, with a variety of accoutrements that you can customize to your liking. We're going to start by making a marinade for our salmon. We're going to combine a 1/4 cup of soy sauce with a 1/2 cup of coconut milk, a dash of sambal, a tablespoon of maple syrup, the juice of 1/2 a lime, a small piece of grated ginger, and a chopped clove of garlic. Combine that with your salmon and let it sit for about a 1/2 an hour in the refrigerator. Meanwhile, we're going to make the rice. Now, rice bowls are often made with sticky rice, but because that needs to be soaked pretty thoroughly, we're making coconut rice today as sort of a shortcut. Grab a small saucepan, add about a tablespoon of olive oil, and let that heat up over a medium heat. Then add in a cup and a half of long grain rice, stir it with a spoon, and let it just warm for about 30 seconds. We're not trying to toast it. We just want to kind of crack the kernels. Then we're going to add in 3 cups of liquid using the remaining coconut milk and water. Add a pinch of salt and stir it up. Let it come to a slow boil and then turn the temperature down very low. Put a cover on top and let it just gently simmer for about 15 minutes. Don't take the cover off. Don't stir it. Just let it cook. After 15 minutes, check it. You can stir it then, and the liquid should all be evaporated. If it needs another minute or two, cover it and let it finish. Then take it off the heat and set it aside until we're ready to plate. Then heat a large sauté pan with a little bit of olive oil and add in some sliced mushrooms. I'm using a mixture of cremini and shiitake. Let them cook down over a medium flame, stirring occasionally, and then season them with salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. Take them out of the pan and set them aside. We're going to use that same pan to cook the salmon. Now you're going to need an oven that's preheated to about 400 degrees because after we sear the salmon in the sauté pan, we're going to transfer it to the oven to cook through. Heat a little bit of avocado oil in that sauté pan over medium to medium-high heat. Remove your salmon from the marinade and season it with salt and pepper. Then place it in the skillet, presentation side down. Let it get a nice sear and then turn it over. Cook it for another minute or so on the stove and then pop it in that hot oven. Depending upon the size of your fish, you probably need only about 5 minutes in the oven. Once that's done, you're ready to assemble. The first thing we're going to do is place a heaping pile of rice in the bottom of a bowl. We're going to add a piece of that salmon right in the center. And in clusters around the perimeter of the bowl, we're going to add our accoutrements. We've already sautéed some mushrooms, so place a spoonful of them in your bowl. Now, if you ask me, a rice bowl is not a rice bowl without edamame. You get these in the freezer section, defrost them, perfection. I like to add some thinly sliced radishes, some sliced avocado, some thinly sliced cucumbers, and some shredded carrots. You can sprinkle some sesame seeds on top, some chopped scallions, maybe some cilantro, and then if you want, you can put a little dressing. You can combine some mayo and sriracha for a spicy mayo, maybe an orange ginger dressing, or something Polynesian. The options are endless. And that, my friends, is a bowl of good things brought together. Making it was a fluid process, somewhere between random and intentional. The flavors are definitely harmonious, and its impact in and of itself is just a flittering moment. But it was cause for us to gather around this table, and for us to have this meaningful conversation, and that by extension makes it more relevant. When I think back on these experiences, these intersections of life, the how or why they happen is a mystery. But what I've come to learn is that I don't have to understand something fully to appreciate it. And even though there's tremendous value in curiosity and learning, there can also be value in the unknown. The Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi honors things as they are, the simplicity, the cracks, the flaws, and we should view our lives much the same. Sometimes these intersections can feel like a collision. There can be a breaking and an exposure that comes along with these connections. But these collisions don't just create impact. There's a transference of energy, and energy is the fuel of life. So as we walk along our paths, creating and moving forward, let's savor those intersections and honor the cracks and imperfections, and come together to create something more beautiful than it ever could be otherwise. Until our next episode, I say so long. Feed your fire where food nourishes growth. Feature Fire is sponsored by Kasari Consulting, where insight meets innovation. That's KASARI Consulting.com.